After the seminar ended in the afternoon, I grabbed dinner with my friends and headed back to the dorm. One of them tugged at his shirt, fanning himself dramatically. Ugh, it's gotta be like 100 degrees out here. You could crack an egg on the sidewalk and it'd fry on the spot. Good thing everyone in our dorm hates the heat. Another chimed in. We've had the AC blasting at 60 all day. Feels like heaven in there. Hey Alex, wanna come over and game? Their dorm was full of heat haters, so they always had the air conditioner on full blast. As I replied to a message from my advisor, I answered automatically, "Sure, I'll head over." One of them slung an arm around my neck and clicked his tongue. "Seriously, bro, you're still putting up with him?" Another guy jumped in to tease me. "You go head to head with the department dean when you're mad, but you're scared of him?" They were talking about my roommate, Liam. The guy's got a cold constitution or something. In grad school, our dorms are 2 people per room. Ever since I got assigned to room with him, we've barely touched the air conditioner. He's cold in winter, and somehow, he's still cold in the middle of this brutal summer. I honestly don't get how a guy taller and buffer than me can feel cold all the time. The more they joked, the more irritated I got. We share the same room. Why does he get to decide the AC stays off? Who does he think he is? I hadn't felt this frustrated in a while. My rebellious side kicked in hard, so I turned them down. Actually, I'm heading back to my dorm tonight. I'm enjoying that AC, whether he likes it or not. They stared at me like I'd lost it. Wait, for real? We were just messing around. Alex, seriously, if you're going back, just talk it out, okay? Don't start throwing punches. We heard his family's got connections. I waved them off. Relax, I'm not going to fight him. But in my head, it was already game on. I pushed open the dorm door, half expecting it to be empty. But to my surprise, Liam wasn't at the lab today. Of course, the air conditioner was off. Again, the room felt like a sauna. Even the cicadas outside had given up chirping in the scorching heat. And yet, there he was, calm and unbothered, sitting at his desk like we weren't being slow-cooked alive. Liam was scribbling something in his notebook, probably drafting yet another paper for publication. He was that kind of guy. In grad school, getting even one top-tier CI paper published is already a big deal. But Liam? He's already published 3 in the top journal zone. My advisor constantly tells our lab group to learn from Liam like he's some sort of academic deity. And Liam always has that same composed, detached expression. Glasses perched on his high-bridged nose, not a single bead of sweat on his face. His skin's so pale. I sometimes wonder if he's secretly an ancient vampire, or just terminally ill. Look, I'm not ugly. I've been told I'm pretty good-looking, actually. But based on the campus confession wall, way more people have a thing for him. I remember rolling my eyes when I saw the results of a popularity poll. How could anyone like such a weirdo? The upperclassmen and freshman girls nearly hunted me down for dissing their icy prince. Icy prince, my ass. He's more like a malfunctioning robot. No emotions, no reactions, always rigid and proper. I grabbed the remote, turned the air conditioner on, tossed my books onto the desk, and went to the bathroom to wash my hands. When I came back out, ready to enjoy the glorious cool air, the AC had shut off. Again, my gaze shot toward him. Rage surged through me like a firecracker going off in my chest. Without saying a word, I stormed across the room and grabbed Liam by the shoulder. He was more solid than I expected, not the delicate nerd I'd always assumed. But I didn't dwell on that. I stared him down. Dude, are you seriously this selfish? He looked up at me with that same mild, apologetic expression that always somehow made me feel like I was overreacting. I'm sorry, he said softly. I just felt a little cold. That was it. Every time we argued, it was like punching a pillow. No resistance, no fight back, just this maddening gentleness. I've been holding back for way too long. I'd had enough of his soft-spoken nonsense. Snatching the remote from the desk, I turned the AC back on with a dramatic click. Well, I feel hot, so guess what? The AC is staying on. You can always wear more clothes if you're cold, I added, glaring at him. But what do you want me to do? Peel off my skin? Liam's lashes fluttered slightly, and he said in his usual flat tone, Even with more clothes, I still feel cold. I'm sorry, it's my fault. He was seriously picking today to test me, huh? I wasn't in the mood for negotiations. Screw fairness and compromise, I shoved the remote into my pocket with a smirk. If you're cold, then just cuddle up with me tonight. Let's see him top that. His usually emotionless eyes suddenly stirred. Something flickered in them. a flash of something I couldn't quite read. But he didn't say anything. Instead, he quietly put on another layer and went right back to his writing, like nothing happened. I should have felt victorious. I won. The air conditioner was on. My rules, my room. But for some reason, the dorm didn't feel like a place of triumph. It felt tense. Normally, if I was annoyed like this, I'd crash in my friend's dorm for the night, game until midnight, and only return when I was too tired to care. But not tonight. No, tonight I was staying right here. I wasn't going to run away just because Liam decided to act like he was made of ice. I was going to endure and outlast him. Win this psychological war once and for all. I casually logged onto a game with my friends. Liam sat at his desk next to me, quietly scribbling in his notebook again, calculating something under his breath. Occasionally, he let out these soft little coughs, barely audible, but enough to make it seem like he really was cold. Drama king. My friend asked through the headset, "So, how'd it go back at your place? You two didn't end up fighting, did you?" I grinned smugly. Nah, he's not the type you can even argue with, let alone fight. He just apologizes and freezes in place like an NPC. But even the game couldn't keep my attention tonight. I kept dying stupid deaths, losing round after round. Eventually, I rage quit and logged off, tossing my phone to the side. Later that night, I took a quick shower and climbed into bed early. Liam, as always, had his little routine, calling his parents to update them on his life. Yeah, that's right, the guy still calls mom and dad every night. Total mama's boy. Thanks to him, my parents scolded me last month for not having a heart, just because I didn't call them even once during finals week. Great, thanks a lot, Liam. But oddly enough, he spoke more softly than usual tonight, said something like, "My roommate's going to sleep now," before quietly ending the call. When he went to brush his teeth, he even turned off the lights without me asking. That deflated my anger a bit. Maybe I was being too harsh. Maybe he really does have some weird cold body condition. What if he wasn't being controlling, but just genuinely uncomfortable? Ugh, I hate how easily I start doubting myself. I didn't even do anything wrong, and yet here I was, feeling guilty about turning on the AC. Tired from recent lab work and running low on overthinking energy, I eventually let sleep pull me under. Until something weird happened. Half asleep, I felt a strange weight shift across my bed. Something, or someone, was pressing down on me. Arms wrapped tightly around my waist. Hot breath tickled the back of my neck. What the hell? I didn't panic right away. I'd had sleep paralysis episodes before, usually when I was stressed out. Used to freak me out. Now I just waited for it to pass. But this time the pressure wasn't fading. It was growing heavier, warmer, more real. Something pressed down on my shoulder, breathing steady and hot against my skin. My brow furrowed. I didn't dare open my eyes, fearing I might see something I couldn't unsee. Instead, I cracked one eye open just enough to catch a glimpse. And there it was, a black head of hair resting on my shoulder. Close enough for the short strands to prickle against my skin, making it itch faintly. Wait. Hair? It wasn't a ghost. It was a person. My brain short-circuited. Was this some kind of prank? Did one of my friends sneak in to mess with me? Without thinking, I shifted to kick the intruder off my bed, only to have my leg caught mid-move by a firm hand. A voice, soft and groggy, mumbled against my ear. So cold. That voice. That damn voice. Liam? I jolted upright, utterly stunned, and launched into a full-blown, sleep-disoriented interrogation. Liam, what the hell is wrong with you? Why the hell are you in my bed? And get your damn hand off my waist. But instead of backing off, Liam had the audacity to look wronged, like I was the one causing trouble, and even had the nerve to push me back down onto the mattress. You were the one who said I could hold you if I got cold, he mumbled with a look that could only be described as aggrieved. That shut me up. Temporarily. Wait, was that what I said? That was sarcasm. Get lost, I barked. That was clearly a joke. Are you that dense? Liam, have you studied yourself into a coma? I was mocking you. I was about to push him off, probably with a well-aimed kick, when he leaned in suddenly and kissed me. Just like that. No hesitation, no warning. His lips brushed against my cheek first, feather-light but burning, as if testing the waters. Then he spoke again, voice soft and coaxing, laced with something deeper. Alex, I'm really cold. Help me, won't you? I froze, not from his touch, but from his words. Alex, you've always said things you didn't mean. Ever since we were kids, I never liked that about you. My mind blanked. Since we were kids? I turned my face away, trying to deny it. Pretend I hadn't heard what I just heard. He chuckled, low and bitter. Still pretending? He whispered. Every time you act like you don't know me, like we're strangers, it makes me want to kiss you even more. You know that? His grip tightened. One hand pinned my wrists, the other turned my face back to him, forcing me to look at him. The faint moonlight filtered through the window, reflecting in his dark eyes, eyes that gleamed with a familiar, dangerous glint, like a predator finally cornering its prey. He smiled, slowly, watching me with a hunger that made my breath hitch. I could feel it. The shift. Something between us cracking wide open. In that moment, I forgot how to breathe. All the emotions I had buried for years surged up like a flood breaking a dam. Memories, confusion, feelings I had tried to lock away. And Liam was the trigger, pulling them all back to the surface. I was sinking, falling into those deep, obsidian eyes that gleamed like the ocean at midnight. I knew there were sharp rocks underneath, and yet I didn't even try to swim. No, this is wrong. I have to get out of this. Get it together, Alex. Liam, you've lost your damn mind. Let go of me. I snapped, eyes burning, trying to summon back my anger, my shield. But he didn't budge. He leaned in closer, his breath warm against my cheek, his eyes locked on mine like he could see straight through me. You're so beautiful when you're angry, Alex. He said it again, softer this time, almost like a lullaby. So beautiful when you're angry. Then his voice darkened, a dangerous gleam in his eye. But little liars don't get away so easily. You will pay the price. At that moment, a thunderclap split the silence outside. Lightning flashed through the window, illuminating the entire room in a brief, ghostly white. And I finally saw him, clearly, the same face from my memories. Only now, the soft lines had sharpened. His features were stronger, more defined, more grown up, but still unmistakably him. Liam. My past, my mistake, my undoing. All my defenses crumbled. The past swept over me like a storm surge. I forgot to resist. I let myself sink. Outside, wind howled and rain poured down in sheets. After weeks of relentless heat, the city finally welcomed its first summer storm. And in the eye of it was us. After that insane night, I stared at the messy bed, my brain on the verge of exploding. Thankfully, Liam had the decency to leave early to buy breakfast. If I had to face him first thing in the morning, I swear I'd rather die. Before leaving, he made me promise to wait for him. What kind of idiot does he think I am? Of course, I'm not waiting. I quickly changed clothes, grabbed my laptop and textbooks, and fled the dorm at lightning speed. Then I blocked Liam on every single platform: phone, chat, social media. While clutching my aching waist and cursing myself for thinking with the wrong head, I started contacting rental agencies to find a place off campus. When my mom transferred money to me, she probed suspiciously over the phone. Son, don't tell me. You finally got a girlfriend? My family had promised that if I ever started dating a girl, they'd bump up my monthly allowance by $10,000. My mom had been waiting for this day forever. A girlfriend. My ass. If she ever finds out what happened between me and the precious heir of the Chi family, she'd think I took advantage of him and probably show up with a knife to cut me down. Liam, he's a master of deception. Everyone around him is completely fooled. Outsiders think he's this sweet, polite guy. Only I know how calculating and manipulative he really is. We've known each other since kindergarten. My dad, a newly rich businessman desperate to climb the social ladder, bought a luxury house just to enroll me in a school full of elite kids. My mom, even more cunning, tried every trick in the book to get into the rich wives' circle and forced me to befriend Liam. I've hated Liam since we were kids, hated how his family was richer than mine, how he always outperformed me at school, and how he constantly got me scolded by my mom. I finally got away from him when I went to college, thinking I'd never have to deal with that green tea faker again. But then I aced the grad school entrance exam and ended up in his university and his dorm. When Liam saw me again, he wasn't the least bit surprised. I figured I'd pretend we were strangers. But the next day, he secretly told my mom we were roommates. Now, every time she visits, she insists he joins us for dinner. And I have no choice but to put on a fake smile and keep pretending we're still good friends. I honestly have no idea how many favors my family's gotten from his over the years. Whatever it is, it's apparently enough to keep us all bowing and scraping before the Chi family like loyal dogs. Back in the lab, one of the other students gasped when he saw how much reagent I poured in. Alex, are you crazy? When the professor sees this, he's going to kill you. I looked down. Sure enough, I'd added way too much. If our advisor saw this mess, I'd be getting a lecture that could last 2 weeks. My senior noticed how distracted I was and stopped joking around. He looked concerned. Alex, you're totally out of it today. Have you been working too hard lately? Maybe take a few days off. I was already frustrated out of my mind just thinking about what happened with Liam. There's no way I'd be able to focus on any experiments like this. Screw it. Might as well take a break. I should have known Liam's obedient behavior yesterday was a trap. He always acts all soft and pitiful before pulling something shady. Classic move. I took off my lab coat, got permission from my professor to take a few days off, and decided to go have some fun. At least that way, I could avoid seeing Liam for a while. I spent a week off in Xinjiang trying to clear my mind, just watching cattle graze and lying in the endless green fields. I thought if I distanced myself far enough, I could shake off what happened that night. But no matter how far I went, I couldn't erase Liam's voice or the look in his eyes. Every time I closed my eyes, all I could see was him. I didn't want to return to school and bump into him constantly. So instead, I booked a flight home, figuring I could delay it a little longer, hide away for as long as possible. Over a week passed, and I didn't receive any strange calls. No messages. Nothing. I finally breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed Liam treated that night as nothing more than a fling. He hadn't tried to contact me at all. Of course, a rich guy like him probably wouldn't take something like that seriously. When I got home, my mom squinted suspiciously at me. You're not in trouble again, are you? Asking for money one day and suddenly coming home the next. She gave me that no-nonsense look. You better not be messing around with girls outside and breaking hearts. My mom can be materialistic and a bit nosy, but she still has a strong sense of morals and decency. I opened my arms and gave her a hug. Oh, come on, Miss Jang. Can't you just think of me as a good son for once? Besides, have you ever seen me mistreat a girl? If I really like someone, I'd definitely take responsibility. She considered my words, probably recalling my personality, and realized I wasn't wrong. So she let me go shower and rest. But just as I thought I could relax for the evening, she said, We're having dinner at your Aunt Lee and Uncle Cheese place tonight. Dress up a little. I hesitated. I wanted to make up an excuse, say I was too tired to go. But I knew she'd just call me rude or antisocial again, so the words stayed stuck on my tongue, unspoken. That evening, we brought a few gifts and headed to Liam's house, only to find out it was his grandfather's birthday. The moment I heard that, a bad feeling crept into my chest. If it was his grandfather's birthday, then Liam would definitely be here too. Sure enough, before I could come up with an excuse to sneak away, Liam appeared right in front of me. He was standing by the door, dressed neatly, greeting guests like the perfect eldest grandson. When he saw me, he simply nodded, calm, polite, and without any hint of emotion. Heartless jerk. And here I was, going out of my way to avoid him, while he acted like it was no big deal at all. I gritted my teeth and fumed silently. As I passed by him, I deliberately ignored his presence. Aunt Lee and Uncle Chi were still smiling politely as they accepted the gift and helped us find our seats. But it was painfully obvious. We didn't belong here. Every other guest seemed part of a tight-knit circle, laughing and chatting comfortably. My parents, no matter how hard they tried, just couldn't squeeze into their world. I watched my father struggling to strike up conversations, his forced smile faltering each time someone politely brushed him off. That tight feeling in my chest returned, hot and suffocating. I excused myself, claiming I needed to use the restroom, but instead slipped out to the garden for some fresh air. I barely had time to take a few deep breaths before I heard a group of women whispering nearby. Why does that tacky nouveau rich family keep showing up uninvited? If it were any other hostess, they would have been kicked out by now. That man's been tailing our madam for years, like a pathetic little dog wagging its tail. I'd heard things like this before. They weren't wrong. But still, hearing it out loud felt like a slap in the face. My body acted before my mind did. I turned to leave, desperate to escape. But in my panic, I bumped into a decorative vase, nearly knocking it over. The crash drew their attention. I froze. But before they could spot me clearly, a tall figure stepped in front of me. Liam. His broad shoulders shielded me completely as he stared the women down. "Why don't you ladies help out somewhere else?" he said coolly. "And stop gossiping about our guests." His voice was calm, but there was steel underneath. "Alex's family are close friends of my parents," he continued. "I don't appreciate hearing lies and slander about them behind their backs." The women paled, realizing their mistake, and quickly scattered in different directions. Whether Liam truly meant what he said or was just saving face, I didn't know. But at least he gave me my dignity back. I muttered a quiet thanks and turned to leave. But he grabbed my wrist tightly and yanked me back, slamming me gently against the wall. His eyes were red, his chest rising and falling rapidly. His breath ghosted against my ear, warm and erratic. I turned my head, trying to avoid it. "Alex," he whispered hoarsely, "how long are you planning to keep running from me?" Before I could respond, he grabbed my face and kissed me, rough, desperate, without rhythm or grace. I cursed him. I pushed him. Nothing worked. So I bit him. Hard. His blood filled my mouth, but he didn't stop. Instead, the kiss softened, his lips moving slowly now, tenderly, as if he was afraid I might vanish again. His thumb brushed my cheek. Our foreheads touched, breaths mingling in the quiet dark. "Alex," he said, his voice trembling, "are you going to leave me again like before?" The light from the garden lanterns reflected in his dark eyes, and within them, I saw it. Grief. Deep, unending grief that had never quite healed. Thanks to my mom's relentless social maneuvering, Liam's mother finally agreed to let the two of us hang out. Liam was just like her, calm, polite, and impossible to read. You could never tell if he was happy or sad, excited or bored. I, on the other hand, acted like the loyal knight guarding his prince. I played with him, made him laugh, protected him when things got rough. We were just kids. We didn't understand politics or class differences. Sure, I resented how perfect he was, how everyone compared me to him, but I also genuinely wanted to be his friend. Even though he rarely smiled, never got flustered, and always seemed a little aloof. I learned to read him. I could tell when he was happy, even if it was just the tiniest twitch at the corner of his lips. And I knew he was different with me. He'd sneak around with me to break the rules. He'd sprawl in a chair next to me and sunbathe lazily. His eyes would light up like stars whenever he praised how well I played video games. It made me proud, having a friend like him. Someone smart, cool, and a little mysterious. Someone who was mine. Then came that winter camp. Our school decided to toughen us up by sending us spoiled city kids into the mountains for a week. Behind the camp, there was a frozen wild lake. Naturally, all of us sneaked off to try skating on it, hiding the plan from the teachers. Liam wasn't that into it, but since I was excited, he came along. We were having the time of our lives until the ice cracked, and Liam fell through. I didn't think. I just jumped in after him and pulled him out. His family rushed in and whisked him away for treatment. Not long after, my family got a lucrative business deal, worth over 1 billion yuan. I came down with a fever from the cold, but as soon as I could walk, I dragged myself to his house to check on him. While I waited, I overheard some of the housemaids whispering to each other in the hallway. "Told you that boy's too slick for his own good. Finally found the perfect chance to save our young master. Heard the old man pulled some strings for them. 10 billion. All those years of sucking up finally paid off. That kid's been scheming since he was little. Our Liam's too naive. He's going to get burned." Their voices were low, but every word landed like a slap to the face. I clenched my fists, and then slowly let go. Without making a sound, I turned and quietly went back to Liam's room. We barely spoke. After a short visit, I said I had to leave. Before I could go, he looked at me with those calm, dark eyes and asked, "Alex, will you go to the same high school as me?" I forced a smile, swallowing the bitterness. "I'm not as smart as you. I probably won't get in." He frowned, immediately anxious. "What if I ask my parents to help? If I talk to them, I'm sure they'd agree." I could see the sincerity in his eyes, but it made me panic. I didn't want our friendship tainted by favors. I didn't want to owe him anything, so I lied and told him I'd try my best. That night, I came home planning to blow up at my parents, demand they stop trying to cozy up to Liam's family. But when I saw how tired and defeated my mom looked as she turned to face me, I just couldn't do it. I swallowed my words. Eventually, I did make it into the same high school as Liam, but I kept my distance. I found every excuse not to see him, dodging his messages, avoiding the places I knew he'd be. I pulled away until we were practically strangers again. After graduation, I finally cut him off completely. But Liam didn't give up. He kept trying. He called, texted, even asked mutual friends to invite me out. I refused every time. Then one day, he found me. He wasn't the boy I remembered. He had grown taller, broader, more imposing. He stood in front of me, blocking my way, grabbing my arm. "Alex," he said, voice tense, "why are you avoiding me? You could have gone to the same college. You had the grades. Why didn't you apply?" He looked genuinely lost, like he was still that boy who had fallen through the ice, waiting for me to pull him back out. "Ever since that day at the lake, you've been different, distant. If I did something wrong, just tell me. I'll change. I'll fix it." I was done pretending. I snapped. "Liam, am I your pet or something? I played with you when we were kids. Now I'm supposed to go to school with you, follow you around forever?" He froze, stunned. "Alex, I never saw you as my—" He couldn't even finish the sentence. I stepped closer, determined to end it once and for all. "You want the truth? I never wanted to be your friend. If my family wasn't trying to kiss up to yours, I wouldn't have wasted a second on someone as cold and boring as you. So no, Liam, I didn't go to your college on purpose." And right on cue, like some cheesy soap opera, a storm rolled in. Rain started pouring as I brushed past him. That was the day I made myself a promise. I would never see him again. Today, he asked me that same question again. Liam softly said, with an upward lilt at the end, clearly waiting for my answer. Why ask the same question twice? Does he enjoy humiliating himself? I stared straight into his eyes and shot back. What do you expect me to say? You heard what your aunt said just now, didn't you? We're from two completely different worlds. Why are you forcing this? He quickly tried to explain. What she said doesn't represent how my family actually feels. Alex, don't believe them. I gave him a mocking look. He couldn't take it. His hand flew up to cover my eyes, and then he kissed me, hard. His lips swallowed the words I hadn't finished, words he didn't want to hear. The noise of the party faded into the background as I got caught up in his reckless passion. After a long moment, a breeze seemed to bring the noise back into focus. He let go, and I opened my eyes to see Liam looking at me, his gaze locked with mine, serious and unwavering. Alex, I like you. I've liked you for a long time. When I told you to wait for me, it was because I wanted to say this. I want to take responsibility. I want to be with you. He's still so naive. Does he really think we can be together with the kind of life he leads? I let out a cold chuckle and sneered at him. So what, young Master Liam? You want me to repay you with my feelings? Too bad. My family doesn't need anything from yours anymore. Your little tactic isn't going to work right now. Liam froze, stunned. My words had hit the mark, harsh and precise, straight to the heart. He quickly masked his reaction and pretended not to understand, continuing his little speech like nothing happened. Alex, let's go back to school together. Let's start over, okay? I hated seeing him like this. He knows better than anyone that our so-called friendship was built on nothing but convenience. If it weren't for my parents wanting to use his family status, they never would have tried so hard to make me befriend him. I've already done everything I can to avoid him. So why does he keep chasing me down, trying to make things harder? I laughed coldly. Fine. Since you say you like me so much, go back in there right now and tell everyone you like me. Tell them you want to be with me. Then I might consider it. I only said it to scare him off, to finally make him give up. But to my surprise, Liam actually believed me. He lit up and grabbed my arm, ready to drag me inside. Really, Alex? I froze, completely caught off guard. I panicked and shoved him away. What the hell is wrong with you? Are you crazy? If your brain's broken, go get it fixed. Liam, I will never like you. So just give up already. The party's starting. I'm heading back. I turned without mercy and walked away. But then everything went black. My body collapsed forward, landing in someone's arms. He whispered, I'm sorry, Alex. Right before I lost consciousness, I vaguely heard Liam calling my parents, telling them we'd gone out to hang out together. My parents were delighted, even told us to have fun. It all felt so surreal, like I was dreaming. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself lying in an unfamiliar room. The decor didn't match my home, or Liam's either. What's more, my wrists and ankles were bound by thin chains. Even my neck had a leather collar fastened around it. Every time I moved, the metal links clinked with a chilling clarity. Was this some kind of organ trafficking scheme? A cold shiver ran down my spine. Just as I was about to panic completely, The door creaked open. Liam walked in, dressed in cool-toned loungewear carrying a tray of food. He was tall, pale-skinned, and always wore that same unreadable expression. Cold, distant, like someone who lived in his own world. Seeing me awake, he smiled faintly. "Alex, you're up." I yanked at the chains and glared at him. "Liam, what the hell are you doing?" He calmly set the tray down, leaned in, tugged at the collar around my neck, and kissed me lightly on the cheek. "My sweet boy," he whispered. I shoved him away, disgusted. "You're insane! Let me go right now." But he didn't get angry. Not even a flicker of irritation crossed his face. He simply picked up the bowl of porridge and launched into his usual one-sided conversation. "Alex, how about eating something first? You've been asleep for a whole day and night." I slapped the bowl out of his hands. It spilled all over the bed. Liam didn't rush to clean it up. He just looked down at me from above, calmly. His gaze traveled down from my struggling face to my disheveled clothes, and finally, he smiled. "It's all messy now," he said gently. "You've always hated feeling sticky, haven't you? Looks like it's time for a bath." Then, before I could even react, he bent down and scooped me up like I weighed nothing. I was in his arms, suspended midair, and he carried me straight toward the bathroom. Realizing he actually meant it, I panicked. "Let me go." "Liam, you're a psycho. I swear I'll call the police. You're going to jail for kidnapping. My parents will report me missing. They'll find me. My professor. My classmates. I'm almost out of vacation time. Liam, if you don't stop this now, you'll destroy your family. I'll make sure of it." He chuckled softly, amused by my resistance. "You're so smart, Alex. You know all the right things to say to protect yourself. But I've already taken care of everything. I called your parents and told Aunt Zhang and Uncle Guan that we're going on a little trip. So," he said smoothly, "we've got a whole month together now." The chain was long enough that I could move freely to the bathroom, but standing here, facing someone so calm in his madness, I felt an overwhelming sense of helplessness. Eventually, I tried a softer approach. "Liam, if you let me go now, I won't tell anyone. I promise." He ignored my words completely and began peeling off the clothes I'd soaked in porridge. That's when I truly lost my temper. "Liam, what the hell do you want from me?" He lowered his eyes, voice almost too soft to hear. "I want you to love me." His eyes shimmered with something between sorrow and desperation, like someone asking for the impossible and still hoping to get it. I froze. And then after a pause, I told him flat out, it was never going to happen. I didn't like men, and I would never love him. But before I could finish my sentence, he stepped closer. "That day, Alex, you clearly enjoyed it," he murmured. The tub was already overflowing. In our struggle, we both slipped and fell in. The water sloshed over the sides again and again. The longer we stayed submerged, the harder it became to breathe. Eventually, in a panic, I clung to him. To breathe, to survive, and ended up kissing him. He laughed softly, indulgently. "Good boy," he said, like I was doing exactly what he wanted. What was supposed to be a bath turned into something far more chaotic and uncontrollable. When it was finally over, I sat on the bed like a warden, watching him change the sheets. I realized later there was no point. The sheets were beyond saving. After being locked up for half a month, I finally realized the house I was kept in was actually in a villa neighborhood not far from our school. Sometimes I could even hear the school's signature bell sounds. Over the years, Liam had earned quite a bit through competitions and projects. His family also gave him a lot of money, so he bought himself a small villa. And he kept me here. His daily routine was basically kissing me and holding me while sleeping. He seemed to really be cold all the time. Every night he would cling to me tightly, murmuring that he was freezing. I'd scoff and tell him to go freeze somewhere else. But in the end, I still let him hold me close. When he was free, he'd pull out that old handheld game console we used to play with as kids and insist I play with him. I looked at the console, already long completed, and said speechlessly, "Aren't you bored? We're way too old for this now." He looked thoughtful. "But this game has Alex in it. Alex said we'd be best friends forever. Alex said he'd always stay with me." I didn't respond. I remembered those hot summer days, the green leaves outside the window, and us lying on the carpet in an air-conditioned room, playing games just like this. I used to dream of the future, buying a big house, filling it with game cartridges, and spending every day with my best friend. Looking back now, it feels kind of ridiculous. Who could really spend their whole life with a game console? And yet, there was one fool who took that dream seriously. I fiddled with the console, changing the topic. Are you really that afraid of the cold? Or are you just messing with me? He looked at me and answered honestly, it's real. I couldn't think of any good reason why someone would be that sensitive to the cold, so I asked casually, is it from when you fell into the lake that winter? He shook his head and let out a small laugh. No, it was after a car accident. My body temperature's been unstable ever since. A car accident? I frowned slightly. Why hadn't my parents ever mentioned that? But honestly, he said with a light chuckle, I'm kind of glad I got sick. It gave me an excuse to make you mad at me, so I could get close to you like this. He leaned over and kissed me softly on the lips. Alex, wouldn't it be amazing if things stayed like this forever? I've imagined it for so long. This time I didn't resist. I kissed him back. From the look on his face, he clearly hadn't expected that. That day, we rolled around on the carpet for a long time, tangled up in each other. Then, while he was completely relaxed and off guard, I grabbed a vase and knocked him out cold. I found the key from the spot I remembered he usually kept it and unlocked the chain on my body. Before I left, I turned to look at him one last time and sent a message to one of his classmates, asking them to check on him, just in case something actually happened. I never planned to call the police. Let's just call it even. After returning to campus, I immediately moved out of the dorm. My classmates and advisor were all surprised I was back so soon. They said, wait, didn't your little brother get into a car accident and end up in the ICU? Weren't you supposed to be with him? I hadn't expected Liam to make up something that outrageous just to get me time off. I joked, turned out to be a false alarm. He's fine, so I came back. Whether it was me avoiding Liam or him avoiding me out of fear of revenge, ever since I escaped that house, we hadn't seen each other for 2 weeks. Then one day during class, I got a call from an unfamiliar number. I looked at the caller ID. It was from my hometown. As soon as I answered, a voice, frantic and on the verge of tears, burst through the phone. Alex? I'm Liam's mom. I heard you and Liam are roommates. Do you know where he is? We haven't been able to reach him for a week now. I'm so scared he might do something to himself. His mood's been so off lately. He told us he liked someone, but that person didn't like him back. Do you think he's heartbroken? That he might have done something stupid? A loud buzzing filled my head. I stood straight up in the middle of class. Auntie, I moved out about 2 weeks ago. I really don't know what's going on. Please try to stay calm. I'll try calling him now and go look for him. I rushed out of the classroom, asking the professor for leave as I grabbed my bag and ran. I unblocked Liam's number and called him over and over, but every time the same cold, automated voice replied, "The number you are calling is currently unavailable." I searched his dorm, the lab, every place he might show up. Nothing. While I was anxiously looking for him, my mother showed up to make trouble, at the worst possible time, and insisted that I had to find Liam. Already frustrated and overwhelmed, I snapped, "You're just afraid something really happened to him and you'll lose your chance to use me to get close to him for your business connections, right?" She went silent for a second, then unleashed a tirade on me. "What kind of nonsense are you talking about? Alex, is that really what you think of me?" I shot back. "Isn't it true? You and Dad deliberately introduced me to Liam, told me to get close to him so you could use me to win those big contracts. You kept asking why I wasn't as close to him anymore. Well, it's because I hate the idea of using him like a stepping stone. I don't need that kind of relationship." She was furious. She slapped me across the face. Dad pulled us apart, and in his panic, finally blurted out the truth. "It's not like that at all. We're grateful to Auntie Lee and Uncle Guan because back when your mom was giving birth, she had an amniotic fluid embolism. It was pure luck that Auntie Lee happened to be there for a prenatal checkup and helped call the doctor. Otherwise, you wouldn't have either of your parents today." I stood there frozen. Mom was crying. We owed her a debt we could never repay. She never asked for anything in return. So we thought, maybe you and Liam could become friends. Their kid's quiet. I just wanted you to look out for him a little more. As for the business stuff, everything went through the proper channels. We only got the contract because we met the requirements. Auntie Lee and Uncle Guan just gave us a heads up about the opportunity. That's it. We never told you about what happened during your birth because we didn't want to burden you with that kind of emotional guilt growing up. Memories started flashing through my mind. Every cruel, unfair thing I'd said about Liam, like a boomerang, they slammed right back into me. The pain was so intense, I nearly couldn't stand. Then a sudden thought struck me, and I grabbed my mom's arm. Do you know how Liam got into the car accident? She looked just as surprised. We don't know. The Chi family kept it quiet. It's always been a secret. I couldn't think about anything else. My mind was racing, trying to piece together where he could have gone. I rushed to the house Liam had bought. His mother was there, collapsed on the floor crying. His dad was trying to comfort her with one hand and calling people with the other, asking them to search every corner of the city. I crouched down beside Auntie Lee and asked gently, Auntie, do you remember exactly when Liam had the accident? That might be a clue. Through sobs, she choked out, It was the day after he submitted his college preferences. It rained that day. He insisted on going to that mountain where you two had winter camp years ago. On the way there, he got hit by a drunk driver. He had multiple fractures, spent 2 months in the ICU, barely made it. I froze. College applications, rain, a car crash. Without hesitation, I turned and bolted out the door. I booked a plane ticket on the spot, one to that same mountain from our winter camp days. It had been 8 or 9 years since we came to this mountain for winter camp. Since then, a few new guest houses had popped up. The summer scenery was beautiful, lush greenery in all shades stretching endlessly into the distance. I walked from guest house to guest house with a photo of Liam, asking if anyone had seen him. It wasn't until the very last one that someone finally recognized him. The front desk girl smiled politely. Oh, he's been staying here for about a week. Goes to bed early, wakes up early, heads out for walks every day, but no one really knows where he goes. I followed my memory to the old wild lake near the mountain. The shoreline was overgrown with reeds. There, on a battered chair, sat someone watching the sunset, like he was silently saying goodbye to the past. I sat beside him. He didn't turn to look at me, nor did he say anything. I broke the silence first. I'm sorry. He shook his head gently. You don't owe me an apology. If anything, I should be the one saying sorry. I locked you up and did so many terrible things. I wanted to say something, but the words caught in my throat. Finally, all I managed to blurt out was, Liam, did the car accident hurt a lot? His eyes flashed with surprise for just a moment before he smiled faintly. Yeah, it hurt. I told myself I'd never look for you again. But then I saw you got accepted into the same grad school as me. I couldn't help it. I had someone pull some strings so you'd be assigned to my dorm. I wanted so badly to keep you close to me. But you still left, just like before. He looked at me. His eyes were calmer now, like he no longer expected me to love him back. But it was that calmness that cut deeper than any of the pain before. If the sharp words I once threw at him were knives, then this quiet acceptance was a blade wrapped in velvet, so soft but so much more painful. I whispered, I'm sorry, Liam. I shouldn't have said those things back then. I really hated how my parents used our relationship to chase their business deals. I never expected it would lead to all this. I only just learned the truth. My parents never planned to use you. They were just grateful to your mom, because she saved my mom and me when she had that birth complication. All the guilt and confusion I'd bottled up for years poured out of me. I rambled about our messed up teenage years, the misunderstandings, the things I'd wanted to say but couldn't. I cried while I talked. I hated how pathetic I sounded, but I couldn't stop the tears. Liam's eyes lit up a little. It was clear this was the first time he'd heard about how deep the connection between our families really was. His mom had never told him. She'd never tried to use that gratitude to get anything from us. Then somehow courage surged through me. I was done being a coward. Even if he rejected me or humiliated me, I had to say it. I looked into his cool, quiet eyes, tears still falling, and asked, Liam, will you forgive me? It's not true that I didn't like you. If I really hated you, I wouldn't have done what we did. I wouldn't have just walked away without calling the cops. My voice trembled. My eyes searched his face, filled with fear and hope. He froze. Shock flickered in his expression, slowly shifting to joy. In that moment, I knew he'd still been waiting for me. Bathed in the golden glow of sunset, he pulled me into a tight embrace and kissed the tears from my face. Alex, it's been so long. Alex, I missed you. 2 simple sentences, more powerful than any love confession. Our friends were stunned. Wait, you're seriously going back with him? We were just joking. After finding Liam, I called both our families. They finally breathed a sigh of relief on the other end of the line. When they heard we planned to spend a few more days up in the mountains, they just told us to be careful and to check in once we returned to campus. We stayed for a week. Every morning, we watched the sunrise from the eastern peak, and every evening, we sat hand in hand on the swing, watching the sun dip below the hills. It only took 2 days before Liam dropped the sweet guy act and reverted to his usual teasing self. Eventually, my advisor called and tore into me for skipping class. He told me if I didn't get my ass back immediately, I could forget about ever graduating. That was when we reluctantly returned. We moved into the house Liam had bought. We came out to both our families. Surprisingly, they were incredibly accepting. My parents didn't mind at all. They'd seen too many rich, powerful people in their lives to care who I dated. Compared to real power and wealth, our family's assets weren't even worth talking about. As for Liam's parents, after seeing their son nearly die in the ICU, they'd stopped caring about things like gender or tradition. They said, "Just don't do anything crazy again. If either of you ends up in the ICU again, we'll break you two up ourselves." Liam and I exchanged a glance and promised in unison, "It won't happen again." Standing in that house again, memories of the wild, twisted summer I'd spent locked up there came rushing back. I blushed furiously. Hands on hips, I started ordering Liam to tear down all the strange, ridiculous stuff from back then. He pretended to obey, then suddenly pinned me down and locked me in place again. He slipped a collar around my neck, leaned close, and whispered against my ear, blindfolding me. He wanted to try something new. I tilted my head back, kissing him as the sound of chains clinked softly in the background, like chaotic music, but somehow harmonious. Liam held me tight, whispering into my ear, "Alex, I love you so much." I whispered back, "Liam, I love you too." Outside the window, the world remained green. The cicadas sang without pause. Summer still lingered.